Hey, yo, what's up, everybody? Yo, Wuthering Waves Chapter 3, Act 3 just dropped. Yo, I just finished playing through this quest. It was crazy. Oh my God. We got to talk about it. And of course, spoilers, duh. So this video will be a review in two ways. We're going to be reviewing major important revelations that happened during the story, as well as give our opinion of the story and just rate and review it in general. The story was insane. You know, I used to think Wuthering Waves watched my videos and kind of came up with ideas, you know, from just seeing me and giving my perspective. But now, I think they're doing more. I think they're actually infiltrating my brain cells. Because bro, you guys heard my last video where I was talking about the story. I was talking about some of the things I feel like they make the story better, things that I felt like were shortcomings of the story, and things that I would like to see more of. I also talked about some things that I think were great. Nonetheless, a huge swath of my most prominent criticisms were put to rest in this version. Boy, did they deliver. We got backstory on the Rover. Finally, we know where Rover, we don't know exactly where he's from, but we know he's not from Solaris-III, which gives us a bit more perspective on that opening scene of the game, because that scene might not be him awakening from his self-imposed slumber and memory wipe. This scene might be something different altogether. And the woman in this scene from the ancient civilization might not be a Solaris civilization after all. This might be a person from his homeland. And there's so many things like this that this story kind of recontextualizes. After this, of course, we know Rover emerged from the etheric sea, but now we know why, or at least have a little bit more information. That word has been thrown around, but we really didn't quite get much detail on it. It was kind of mentioned just a couple of times in the story, but like we finally understand a little bit more. And Rover's story is crazy and tragic, yo. Oh my gosh. So what we basically discover in this story is that Rover is from a distant world, and he was sent to Solaris-III to save it. Along with him was sent these giant robots, the Exostrider, and multiple Exostriders. And inside the Exostriders were the Sentinels. And we learned that Rover wanted to go back to his home. He had been working on Solaris-III to try to stop the calamities, but eventually he wanted to just see his homeland again. You know, to the point where it didn't matter if he actually got a chance to stay. He just wanted to come back and see it. And then his people from his homeland just cut him off, yo. They just cut him off. They were just like, no, you don't even get to communicate with us anymore. We're turning off all transmissions. Insane. In 3.1, we also get the reason why Rover has been resetting themselves. Well, we can't really say for sure this is the only reason, because I think it's probably deeper than this, but it definitely could be part of the reason that he keeps resetting himself. And that reason is Rover is essentially Superman. But instead of his home planet being destroyed, they just sent him away to save a place and then rejected all contact or him ever returning. And so the psychological weight of knowing what it is to be in your homeland, knowing all the people there, but yet never able to return, tasked with saving the people around you for the rest of time, considering you're essentially an immortal being. He realizes the truth and the burden he has to carry. And later on in the story, Aemeath, and this is also probably why he told other people to not tell him about the past, because it reminds him of his mission, the mission he was sent to Solaris for, to save the planet from the lament. As far as he knows, there is no way back. And Aemeath likens his condition to a cat trapped into a box, which is an amazing analogy. This story has so many gems that take us so many places when it comes to understanding the story as it's been presented so far. Speaking of Aemeath, Aemeath's story is also just as tragic and insane. Like, we find out that Aemeath is essentially Rover's daughter. Of course, you know, not his biological, or his or her, depending on which character you play, but it's not Rover's biological daughter. But essentially, Rover's adopted daughter, which is why in the trailer she talks about she wants to save the world. She's saying that because she is mimicking and emulating what she perceives Rover to be and what Rover is about. Rover is all about saving the world, all about doing what it takes, sacrificing themselves for the greater good of society and humanity. And she's like, I want to do that too. You know, just kind of like any child who kind of looks up to their parents. I mean, this story took so many twists and turns, and there were so many touching moments, man. Oh my gosh. And then at the end of it, we get Aemeath like essentially in a vegetative state, and Rover like vows to fix her. Man, the story was insane. Not to mention, we also got lore for Solaris-III and Lahairoi, and a lot of it. There are a lot of different small details that have huge implications, like the fact that Solaris-III used to be a spacefaring civilization. Of course, we kind of already got information on this before, but I think this might have been the first time it was presented in the main story. We learned that the Ternodians are aliens, or at least LF1 is an alien. But I mean, if LF1 is an alien and it's a Ternodian, then it's probably safe to say that the rest of them are alien too, which is very interesting, which basically makes a dynamic of Solaris-III is this world that's being fought over by the Ternodians, an alien race, versus whatever the Rover's civilization is. And they're battling it out to kind of save the people of this planet, Solaris-III. There's just so much, man. I'm looking forward to making more videos on just this act because, man, it was crazy. And if you're watching this video and you haven't played the quest, what are you doing? Play the quest. In my critique video, I talked about gameplay during the quest, and we got more gameplay than usual in this quest. We got a boss fight. They brought back some of the 2D perspective platforming, and there was quite a bit of platforming, and it was really enjoyable. And the way they changed the perspective between 2D, 3D, and back and forth, they did that quite a bit, and it was always satisfying. Not to mention the music they had in the background during that time. There were just so many different things to take in, man. And the moment where Aemeath breaks Sigillum's mask and we see its Rover underneath, that moment was a jaw-dropping moment. I was like, yo, stop. That's Rover underneath? What is going on? There were so many moments like that, but the beauty of this particular story was the fact that even though there were moments that made you say, what? They stuck the landing. You know what I mean? Because so many times, like, you're like, what? And then nothing is explained. But I felt like a lot of things were explained, and then they left some for you to question things later. And I think that's how it should be. You should get questions, you should get those questions answered, and then you should have some lingering questions for later, you know, for future installments of the story. And I think they did that way better than they usually do. Also, there's a moment where Rover and Aemeath are talking, and Rover is like, why didn't you tell me any of this before? And like, she actually answers that question, because of course that could be a question that someone who's watching might have. And they just tackle that straight on. There's like, what would I say if I had to tell you what was going on at the start? Like, how would I just meet you for the first time and bring all of this stuff up? You know what I mean? Yeah, the quest gave every moment its own time to breathe, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. If I had to rate this quest, I would probably rate it a 9.99 out of 10. I say that because there were a few moments where I don't know if it lagged or something was just skipped in my story. Maybe it was designed to be where a certain part was skipped, you know, but there were like, I remember at least 2 moments where the scene kind of went from one scene to another scene, and I was like, what? And also there was another moment, a few moments where the characters would be talking, and then I didn't move or do anything, but the characters would stop talking and would begin another scene. And so it just wasn't synced properly, I feel. So I don't even know if I would call that a gripe against the story, because it's more of a technical issue. I'm pretty sure they had the voice lines already recorded, but just something in the programming caused them to go off in such a way where they kind of cut in and cut out in moments where they weren't supposed to. But yeah, man, this quest was probably a 9 out of 10. it was pretty amazing. But yeah, man, that is just my opinion. I'm looking forward to reading your comments. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. That is all I have for you guys today. And until next time, I'll catch you in the waves. Peace.